Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're tackling a challenge that I think nearly every modern high-growth entrepreneur faces, especially those of you running these incredible operations right here in South Florida. I mean, picture this. You're a freelance marketing guru or maybe a specialized consultant. You could be running a thriving tech startup all from your laptop, maybe from your place in Aventura or even a coffee shop in Brickell.
And you're doing well. You're financially successful, location independent,
Yeah.
and you're ready to scale up. But then you hit that wall. A potential client or maybe a new vendor asks for your official business address.
Oh, and you get that feeling, right? That internal cringe. Do you give them your home address in Coral Gables? Because that one little action, it can instantly shift the perception.
Exactly. It takes you from major player to, solopreneur working out of the spare room.
And that perception gap is so real. It's a massive hurdle to true professional credibility. I mean, reaching that next level, attracting those bigger clients, or securing serious funding, it demands a professional image.
And a verifiable physical address, even if you never plan to lease a full-time office.
Which is why we dove deep into sources outlining virtual office solutions specifically for this market.
Right. Our mission today is laser-focused on South Florida. We're talking Doral, downtown Miami, Aventura, and Fort Lauderdale. We want to clarify the options, the legal side for LLCs, and, critically, how all this works with digital platforms like Google.
So we're going to unpack the difference between two services that sound really similar but are functionally worlds apart. We'll look at the actual packages, and yes, we are going to confirm that the entry point for professional prestige in downtown Miami, according to our sources, can start at a surprisingly accessible $59.99 a month.
It's pretty amazing.
Okay, so let's unpack this. This first distinction seems crucial.
Absolutely. The terms are so often used interchangeably. Virtual address versus virtual office. And for a growing business, getting that wrong. I mean, it can be the difference between looking professional and getting flagged as just a P.O. box operation.
So what is the fundamental difference based on what the service providers in our sources are saying?
Okay, so at its simplest, a virtual address is exactly what it sounds like. It's a mailing location. It gives you a physical street address. You can get mail there, legal correspondence. It's great for basic registration and keeping your home address private.
But that's it. That's where it ends.
Usually, yeah. That's where the service stops.
And the virtual office.
The virtual office. Now that, based on the services we reviewed, implies a whole operational infrastructure. It's the office component.
So more than just mail.
Way more. It almost universally includes an option for a dedicated phone number, live receptionist services, answering in your business's name, and critically, access to physical space, the ability to reserve a meeting room or a private office for a few hours.
Wow, okay. That broader suite of support seems to be the true game changer here. It's not just what's on your business card. It's having this whole back office support system you can just deploy when you need it.
Exactly. Imagine you're courting a major international client. You don't just want an address for the contract. You need a professional voice answering your calls.
On a local Miami line.
Right. And if that client flies in, you need a conference room in a Class A building in downtown Miami. With secure Wi-Fi and good coffee. A virtual address alone can't give you that.
That ability to just seamlessly transition from a remote consultant to a brick-and-mortar professional for a key meeting, that's the real value. It just elevates your credibility instantly.
It allows you to compete, both digitally and physically. You're competing with established firms that are paying thousands a month in rent, and you're doing it with minimal overhead. That's the essence of it.
Okay, now here's where we get into the nuts and bolts for anyone formalizing their business in Florida. Let's talk LLCs. The sources kept saying entrepreneurs in South Florida struggle with where to legally base their company. So, can you use a virtual address for your Florida LLC registration, specifically in a place like downtown Miami?
This is a really deep question.
Yeah.
And the answer is generally yes.
Oh.
But there's a huge caveat. It's based on Florida state law. See, when you register an LLC in Florida, you need two key addresses.
Okay.
The principal place of business and the registered agent address.
And what's the distinction there?
The principal place of business is, where the company operates from. And you could use a high-quality virtual office address for this. But the registered agent address is legally required to be a physical street address in Florida. And that agent has to be available during business hours to accept legal documents, what's called service of process.
So if I just use some kind of P.O. box address, I'm basically violating...
Yeah, you're violating state law.
Precisely.
P.O. boxes are explicitly rejected for registered agent purposes.
Okay.
What the good virtual office providers do, the sources suggest, is they facilitate this. They offer to act as the registered agent, or they guarantee their address and on-site staff will meet that requirement. They're providing the necessary legal paperwork to the state, legitimizing that downtown Miami address for your LLC.
So that technical detail, the acceptance of service of process, that's what turns a mailbox into a legally compliant business space.
Yes. It shifts the burden from you, the solo entrepreneur, to the provider. It's the difference between merely looking official and being legally official in the eyes of the state of Florida.
And that's why so many people get stalled. They can't formalize the LLC without solving this address problem first.
Look at that, exactly.
Okay, let's pivot to the personal side of this. Beyond the legal entity, what about the person running the business? Our sources talked about privacy risks. Why would a successful consultant use a virtual address for purely personal reasons?
Well, it really boils down to public safety and privacy. When you incorporate or do any high-value business, your address often becomes public record. For a lot of consultants or freelancers, using their home address means anyone can find out where they live. Disgruntled clients, competitors, anyone.
That is a significant security risk, especially today when so much of your business info is online.
It is. A virtual address is basically a shield. It ensures that when you file state documents or registered domains or list contact info on your website, you're using a professional commercially zoned location in Doral or Fort Lauderdale. It protects your home.
So it's providing that professional polish on one hand and an essential layer of security on the other. That's a powerful combo.
It allows the entrepreneur to keep their physical freedom without sacrificing their personal safety. And in a busy area like Miami, that's a huge draw.
Let's talk about visibility, because we live in a world where local search is everything. For a business thriving from a home office, say, a web designer in Aventura, what happens when clients search for web design services in Aventura? The source is really focused on this. Does Google allow virtual offices?
This is probably the most critical digital hurdle. Google My Business, or GMB, is notoriously strict about addresses. They want to verify that a business actually operates at the location it claims. They'll even mail a physical postcard with a code.
And a normal P.O. box or shared mail facility fails that verification, right?
Almost always. Google actively flags and rejects addresses they see as simple mailboxes or CMRAs.
Right.
And if you try to list your home address, you might pass verification, but Google often tries to mask the address or limit your visibility if you don't serve customers at that location. It just kills your local ranking.
So how does a proper virtual office solve this visibility problem? Where does it succeed where a simple virtual address fails?
The key is legitimacy and documentation. A high-quality virtual office provider isn't just selling you a mailing slot. They're selling you a shared tenancy in a commercial building. They can provide the paperwork like a sublease agreement or a sworn affidavit. That proves you have a legitimate physical right to conduct business there.
And that's what Google needs, that proof.
It helps satisfy Google's requirement for proof of shared occupancy. It's what lets you pass that crucial GMB verification.
What's so fascinating is that it connects a physical, legal formality, having a real agreement for a space, directly to digital success. It gives you that local search ranking in a hub like Fort Lauderdale. It signals to Google that you're a real part of the local business community.
It's the professional address that unlocks the digital door. If a client searches for consultants near me and you're in a verified virtual office in Doral, you show up on the map. If you're using an unverified home address, you just don't compete for that local traffic. It's that simple.
Okay, that is critical clarity. Let's get into the hard logistics and the cost. We mentioned that entry price of $59.99 a month. That sounds almost too good to be true for a professional address in a high-rent area. What services are excluded at that price? Is that just basic mail service?
That's a very important question. And yes, that $59.99 price point is almost certainly the basic virtual address tier. It's the mail receiving, the street address component. It gets your LLC registered and protects your privacy.
So if I want the full credibility package, the live receptionist, the ability to book a room, I should expect that price to jump.
Absolutely. The full virtual office plans, the ones with the advanced features, they start significantly higher. The sources show tiered services designed for different stages of business growth.
So dive into those concrete services. What do you get as you move up the tiers?
Okay, so the comprehensive package has like 3 core layers beyond mail. First is operational support, specific plans that might include a certain number of hours of meeting room use each month. Second is the human element, the live receptionist and virtual receptionist services. This is huge. A professional answering the phone as your company name, not just an automated system.
That live human interaction is probably the biggest jump in perceived professionalism.
Without a doubt. And third, and maybe most important, is the physical access, the ability to reserve an office or meeting room on demand. You pay for the address and support monthly, but you only pay for the physical space when you actually need it.
That is the ultimate flexible infrastructure. You get the A-list address without the 5-year lease. And for our South Florida audience, the sources really emphasize specific high-value locations.
That local relevance is key.
Right.
They aren't offering solutions in some generic office park. They're targeting high-prestige commercial centers. You've got Doral, a major logistics hub, downtown Miami in the financial district, Aventura with its high-end corporate environment, and Fort Lauderdale, which accesses the huge Broward County market.
These are addresses that carry weight. And looking at the operational history, the copyright is from 2009 to 2025. That kind of longevity suggests this model is proven.
Right. That historical data confirms reliability. You need confidence that your registered agent address isn't just going to vanish, especially after you've gone through all the trouble of legal registration and Google verification.
Okay, let's bring it all together for the listener. We've established the real need for a virtual office over just a simple address. We've confirmed how they comply with Florida LLC requirements, and we've detailed how they provide the documentation you need for Google My Business.
Yeah, and if you connect this to the bigger picture, what the sources reveal is, it's really the democratization of business prestige. The physical location of an entrepreneur is now completely decoupled from the professional identity they project. A solo consultant can now effectively compete, legally and digitally, with firms in massive skyscrapers. And they can do it for the starting cost of a nice dinner out.
It just radically levels the competitive playing field in one of the most dynamic, high-cost markets in the country. Which leaves us with a final provocative thought to mull over. If the barrier to entry for establishing a highly professional, verified presence in major hubs like downtown Miami or Fort Lauderdale is now accessible starting at just $59.99 a month, how does that fundamentally change who gets to launch, compete, and gain credibility in the South Florida market? Will the new corporate landscape be defined not by the size of the office, but by the quality of the virtual infrastructure?
Something to ponder as you formalize and scale your dream business.
Until next time, keep digging deep.